The massive screen at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station lit up with an unusual pattern. Dr. James Miller rubbed his tired eyes, thinking it was just another false alarm. But this time was different. The background radiation patterns he studied showed something that shouldn't be there: a rhythm, a structure that nature didn't make on its own. "Computer, analyze pattern sequence beta 9, he said, his voice steady despite his racing heart. The massive quantum computer hummed to life, processing the data streams flowing in from the outer reaches of the solar system. The facility, hidden deep within an old mountain in Colorado, housed some of humanity's most advanced technology. Not the kind they showed in science magazines or news reports, but the real stuff, the technology they kept hidden from prying eyes above. As the computer worked, Miller paced the room. 20 years of watching the stars had taught him patience, but this was different. The patterns looked too organized, too precise. They reminded him of the encrypted military transmissions he'd studied during his time with the Defense Department, but far more complex. The computer chimed. Analysis complete. Miller's eyes widened as he read the results. His hands trembled as he reached for the secure phone, the one that connected directly to the Global Defense Initiative. This is Dr. Miller. Security code Alpha 7 Delta 9. I need to speak with Director Hayes immediately. He paused, listening to the response. Yes, I understand it's 3 a.m. This can't wait until morning. 10 minutes later, the facility's secure briefing room filled with holographic projections of the world's top military and scientific leaders. Some looked annoyed at being woken up, others concerned. Director Anna Hayes' hologram stood at the center, her expression grave. This better be good, James, she said. Miller connected his data pad to the room's display system. What you're looking at isn't random space noise. It's communication. Military communication between at least 7 different alien civilizations. The room erupted in whispers and muttered conversations. Admiral Thomas Parker's hologram stepped forward, his eyes narrow. How can you be sure? Because, Miller said, highlighting specific sections of the data, our quantum decryption systems recognize the base patterns. They're similar to our own military codes, just far more complex. We're looking at tactical communications, fleet movements, and, he paused, letting the weight of his next words sink in, invasion plans. The room fell silent. They've been watching us, Miller continued. Based on the data fragments we've decoded, they've had observation posts in our solar system for centuries. They think we're primitive, barely able to reach our own moon. They've been waiting, watching for the right moment to strike. Director Hayes leaned forward. How did we even detect these signals? If they're so advanced, surely they would have better encryption. Miller allowed himself a small smile. That's the interesting part. Our quantum detection systems didn't just break their code. They found something the aliens didn't expect us to have. We've accidentally discovered their entire communication network because they never thought we'd develop quantum technology this quickly. They're still using what they consider secure enough for primitive species protocols. Admiral Parker's hologram paced the room. How much do we know about their plans? Enough to know we have about 3 months before they plan to launch their first scouting mission. They're coordinating a multi-species invasion force. Miller pulled up another data set. But here's the thing. They're nervous. Some of their communications show concern about unusual energy readings from Earth. Our quantum shield testing has them worried, even though they're trying to convince themselves it's just natural phenomena. Director Hayes stood straight, her decision made. Dr. Miller, you've just confirmed what we've suspected for years. This is why we kept our real progress hidden. This is why we maintained the facade. She turned to address the entire room. Ladies and gentlemen, activate the shadow protocol. It's time to show our visitors that appearances can be deceiving. As the holograms flickered out one by one, Miller stayed in his chair, staring at the data streams. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment, building up its strength while presenting a weak facade to the stars. Now, those same stars carried messages of invasion from aliens who thought Earth would be an easy target. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. 3 days after Dr. Miller's discovery, the world's most powerful leaders gathered in a secret facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. Unlike the public bunkers everyone knew about, this one didn't exist on any map. Its walls, lined with quantum dampening technology, made it invisible to even the most advanced alien scanning systems. Admiral Thomas Parker stood at the head of a long table made from polished black metal. The room was silent except for the soft hum of advanced life support systems. Around the table sat 20 people, presidents, prime ministers, and military leaders from Earth's most powerful nations. "Ladies and gentlemen," Parker began, his voice firm and clear, "what you're about to see has been hidden from the public for over 50 years. He pressed a button on the table, and a holographic display filled the center of the room. "This is humanity's real space fleet." The leaders gasped as three-dimensional images of massive warships appeared before them. These weren't the clumsy rockets shown on TV or the simple satellites that circled Earth. These were warships, sleek and deadly, hidden in underground bases on Mars and Europa. Every failed Mars mission, every lost space probe, every satellite that supposedly stopped working. They were covers, Parker explained. We used them to transport materials and build our real defense force. While the world watched SpaceX launch cars into space, we were building something far more important. He walked around the table, touching different points in the hologram. Each touch revealed another secret base, another hidden fleet. The Shadow Protocol wasn't just about hiding our technology. It was about creating a perfect mask. We showed them exactly what they expected to see: a young species stumbling into space. The president of India leaned forward. "How many ships do we have?" "Over 300 capital ships and thousands of smaller craft," Parker replied. "All powered by the fusion drives we reverse-engineered from the crashed alien ships in the 1950s. Murmurs filled the room. Everyone knew the official story about Roswell and other crashes: weather balloons, experimental aircraft, atmospheric phenomena. The truth, it seemed, was far more interesting. "But ships aren't our only advantage," Parker continued. He brought up new images showing massive defensive installations hidden beneath the lunar surface. "We've turned Earth's moon into the largest weapons platform ever built. The dark side isn't just hidden from Earth, it's our main manufacturing center." The Chinese president stood up, his expression concerned. "How did you keep this hidden from our own people?" Parker smiled. "The same way we kept it hidden from the aliens. Misdirection. Every nation in this room has a piece of the puzzle, but none had the whole picture. Until today." He paused, letting that sink in. "Your own scientists and military leaders have been part of this project for decades, working on individual components without knowing the full scope." The hologram changed again, showing a complex network of quantum satellites. "This is our early warning system. It's why we detected their communications. While they think we're still playing with radio waves, we've built a detection grid that covers the entire solar system." Director Hayes stepped forward from the shadows. "Thanks to Dr. Miller's discovery, we know they're coming. But for the first time in human history, we're not just ready, we're ahead of them." She touched the table, and the hologram showed Earth as the aliens would see it: a planet with primitive satellites, basic space stations, and simple rockets. Then she swiped her hand, and the illusion fell away, revealing layers of quantum shielding, hidden weapon platforms, and advanced defense systems. For centuries, humanity fought itself, but that fighting taught us something valuable: the art of deception. She looked around the room, meeting each leader's eyes. "We turned our greatest weakness into our greatest strength. Our division made our unity invisible." The room fell quiet as the implications sank in. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this moment, building in secret, hiding its true strength. The aliens thought they were hunting prey, but they were about to become the hunted. "The time for hiding is almost over," Parker said, his voice filled with quiet confidence. Now we need to decide how to show them exactly what humanity is capable of. Deep in the hidden command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Miller stared at the new data flowing across his screens. The alien probe activity near the Kuiper Belt had tripled in the last week. They were getting bolder, moving closer, testing Earth's apparent defenses. They're like wolves circling their prey, Commander Robert Stone said, watching the movement patterns of the alien scouts. He stood next to Miller's workstation, his military uniform neat despite the late hour. Except the prey isn't as helpless as they think. Miller nodded, adjusting the quantum sensors to track another incoming probe. Look at this one. He pointed to a blinking dot on the screen. It's trying to be sneaky, using Jupiter's magnetic field to hide its approach. The alien probe thought it was being clever, but Earth's hidden quantum detection grid saw everything. Every movement, every scan, every attempt at stealth was logged and analyzed. Humanity's computers, far more advanced than their public technology suggested, predicted each probe's path with perfect accuracy. Let them get close to Mars, Stone ordered, following the established protocol. Let them scan our broken satellites and failed landing sites. He smiled slightly. Let them think they're being clever. The real Mars base, buried deep beneath the red planet's surface, was completely invisible to alien scans. Above it, carefully placed debris and abandoned equipment told the story the aliens expected to see: failed missions, crashed probes, and primitive attempts at exploration. Dr. Miller's computer chimed with an alert. "Sir, I'm detecting increased communication between the alien fleets. Their encryption is getting sloppy. They're excited." He typed quickly, bringing up the decoded messages. "They think they found our weakness." Stone leaned closer to read the translations. The alien messages were filled with confidence, even arrogance. They saw Earth's apparent primitive space technology and believed they had nothing to fear. Their scans showed only what humanity wanted them to see: old rockets, basic satellites, and failed Mars missions. "Send the data to Director Hayes," Stone commanded. "She'll want to see this overconfidence firsthand." In her office several levels below, Director Hayes reviewed the alien communications with grim satisfaction. Everything was going according to plan. The aliens saw Earth's carefully crafted facade of weakness and believed it completely. Her secure phone buzzed. Admiral Parker was calling from the Luna base. "Director, our deep space arrays just picked up something big. Their fleet is mobilizing earlier than we expected. They're not waiting a month. They're coming now." Hayes sat straighter in her chair. "How many ships?" "Over 1,000, Parker replied. "They think they're being cautious, bringing enough firepower to conquer 10 Earths." There was a hint of amusement in his voice. If they only knew what was waiting for them. She pulled up the tactical display showing Earth's real defenses. Layers of quantum shielding rippled invisibly around the planet. Hidden weapon platforms orbited silently, disguised as space debris. The moon's dark side bristled with enough firepower to destroy a small solar system. "Keep our stealth systems at maximum," Hayes ordered. "Let them get close enough to feel confident." She paused, considering the next move carefully. "How many of our ships can we keep hidden near Europa?" "At least 60% of the fleet," Parker replied. "The ice cover and magnetic field make it perfect for an ambush." Hayes nodded, even though Parker couldn't see it. "Position them there. When the aliens commit to their attack, they'll have nowhere to retreat." Back in the command center, Miller watched more alien probes enter the solar system. Each one followed predictable patterns, scanning what they thought was all of Earth's technology. None of them detected the quantum sensors watching their every move, or the advanced weapon systems tracking their positions. "They're really going to do it," Miller said quietly. "They're really going to attack Earth thinking we're helpless." Stone placed a hand on the scientist's shoulder. "That's exactly what we want them to think." He looked at the screen showing the approaching alien fleet. "They think they're hunting us. Instead, they're walking into the biggest trap in human history. The next few days would change everything. Humanity's long deception was about to pay off, and the aliens were about to learn a very expensive lesson about underestimating their prey. The United Earth Council gathered in the deepest level of the mountain facility. The circular chamber, designed for moments exactly like this, hummed with quiet energy. The world's leaders sat around a massive holographic display showing the approaching alien fleet. They'll reach Jupiter's orbit in 6 hours, Admiral Parker reported, his hologram standing beside the tactical display. Once they pass that point, they'll be committed to their attack. Director Hayes stood up, her decision already made. Then it's time to send our message. She looked around the room, meeting each leader's eyes. We've hidden long enough. It's time to show them who they're really dealing with. The President of the United States nodded slowly. Proceed with Operation Thunderclap. Deep in the Europa base, hidden beneath miles of ice, humanity's real fleet powered up for the first time in decades. Massive engines, built with technology reverse-engineered from crashed alien ships, hummed to life. 300 warships, each more advanced than anything the aliens had seen, prepared to launch. Admiral Parker stood on the bridge of the flagship, Earth's Hope. The ship's quantum core engine pulsed with barely contained power. Around him, crew members worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. This wasn't their first drill, but it was their first real mission. All ships report ready, Admiral, his second-in-command reported. Parker smiled. Begin Operation Thunderclap. Target, Ganymede. Ganymede, Jupiter's largest moon, had been chosen carefully. Uninhabited, unremarkable, and far enough from the alien fleet to make a point without starting an immediate fight. Perfect for their demonstration. The fleet rose from Europa's icy surface in perfect formation. Ice sheets that had hidden them for years cracked and fell away. Stealth systems, normally keeping them completely invisible, were deliberately powered down. They wanted the aliens to see this. In the command center beneath the Rockies, Dr. Miller watched the alien communications explode with activity. They're seeing our fleet now, he reported. Their communications, they're panicking. The alien advance fleet, approaching Jupiter with such confidence just moments ago, suddenly stopped. Their neat formation scattered as ships tried to process what their sensors were telling them. Earth's fleet moved into position around Ganymede. Admiral Parker stood at his command console, watching the targeting systems lock onto precise points across the moon's surface. All ships, power weapons to full. Execute on my mark. 300 quantum beam weapons powered up simultaneously. Energy readings that the aliens had never seen before filled their sensors. The alien fleet's communications became even more chaotic. Fire. Beams of pure energy lanced out from Earth's ships. They struck Ganymede in a precise pattern, cutting deep into the moon's surface. The demonstration wasn't just about power. It was about control, precision, and technological superiority. Great cracks appeared in Ganymede's surface. The moon, larger than the planet Mercury, began to break apart in exactly the way Earth's scientists had calculated. Not an explosion, not random destruction, but a carefully controlled demonstration of power. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Director Hayes activated the quantum communications array. The message they'd prepared was broadcast on all frequencies, using the aliens' own encryption methods. To all approaching forces, we see you. We've always seen you. We've watched you watching us. Think very carefully about your next move. This demonstration used less than 10% of our fleet's capability. Ganymede was uninhabited. Your worlds are not. You have 1 hour to begin retreat. The message repeated in every known alien language, each version perfectly translated and encoded. Along with it went detailed scans of Earth's fleet, their weapon capabilities, and just enough of their tactical data to make the threat clear. Dr. Miller watched the alien fleet's reaction through the quantum sensors. Their ships are powering down weapons. Some are already turning around. Director Hayes nodded. Send the second message. This one was shorter. We could have done this at any time. We chose to wait. We chose to show mercy. Remember that. In his flagship, Admiral Parker watched the alien fleet's confusion with grim satisfaction. Humanity had hidden its strength for decades, playing the part of a primitive species. Now, in one carefully planned demonstration, they had changed the galaxy's balance of power forever. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Phase 1 complete. The real negotiations can begin." The hours after Ganymede's destruction brought chaos to the alien coalition. Dr. Miller hadn't left his monitoring station for 12 hours, watching the flood of alien communications with growing amazement. The quantum computers could barely keep up with translating the panicked messages flying between alien ships. "They're fighting among themselves," he reported to Director Hayes, who stood behind him watching the screens. "The coalition is breaking apart." The alien communications told the story clearly. The Centauri Alliance, which had pushed hardest for invasion, was now facing accusations from its partners. The Rigel Federation had already withdrawn its ships, breaking formation so quickly they'd almost collided with their allies. "Play that last transmission again," Hayes ordered, pointing to a particularly intense exchange. Miller tapped his console, and the translated message appeared. "You assured us they were primitive. You said their quantum signatures were natural phenomena. Our entire battle plan was based on your intelligence." The response from the Centauri commander was defensive. "All our scans showed a pre-space civilization. They fooled us. They fooled everyone." In the Europa base, Admiral Parker watched the alien fleet's disorganized retreat with careful attention. Some ships fled at full speed, not caring about stealth or dignity. Others moved more cautiously, weapons still armed, trying to maintain some semblance of military order. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "we're getting direct communication requests. 3 different alien commands want to open diplomatic channels." Parker smiled slightly. Now they want to talk. He turned to his communications officer. "Put them through to Earth. Let the diplomats earn their pay." Back on Earth, the United Council reviewed the incoming diplomatic requests. The alien messages ranged from hostile defiance to almost desperate attempts at friendship. Each species tried to distance itself from the invasion plan, claiming they were merely observing or forced to participate. Dr. Miller sorted through the messages, marking the most interesting ones for Hayes to review. "The Rigel Federation is offering technical data as a gesture of goodwill. The Centauri are threatening to call in reinforcements, but their ships are still running." Hayes studied the tactical display, showing the scattering alien fleets. "They're not used to being afraid," she said quietly. "They came here thinking they were the advanced ones, the civilized ones. Finding out they were wrong. It's breaking their whole worldview." New data flowed across Miller's screens. "The Proxima Collective is asking for a meeting. They're offering to send a single unarmed ship to any coordinates we specify." He paused, reading further. "They say they have information about others who may threaten Earth." "They're turning on each other," Hayes noted, "each trying to buy safety by selling out their former allies." She walked to the main communications console. "Send the same response to all of them. Earth will consider diplomatic relations with peaceful species. Hostile actions will be met with appropriate force." In space, the alien ships continued their withdrawal. The once mighty invasion fleet split into smaller and smaller groups, each species choosing its own escape route. Some headed straight back to their home systems, while others took longer routes, perhaps hoping to hide their final destinations from their former allies. The quantum sensors tracked them all. Humanity's hidden defense grid, stretching far beyond the solar system, watched every movement. Earth's fleet remained in formation around what was left of Ganymede, a silent reminder of power. "Director," Miller called out, "I'm picking up long-range communications. The alien leadership is calling an emergency council." He looked up from his screens. "They're scared, really scared. Some are suggesting a complete quarantine of Earth's solar system." Hayes nodded slowly. "Good. Fear will keep them honest, at least for now." She turned to her staff. Prepare a series of diplomatic packages, different terms for different species, based on their actions today. Let's show them we can be generous to friends and harsh to enemies. The day that should have seen Earth's conquest instead ended with humanity emerging as a major galactic power. The aliens had come expecting to find prey, only to discover they had walked into the den of a far more dangerous predator. And this was only the beginning. 1 week after the Ganymede demonstration, Earth prepared to show the galaxy its full power. The United Council had decided. No more hiding, no more pretending to be weak. It was time for the complete revelation. Admiral Parker stood on the observation deck of the Luna base, watching Earth's hidden defenses become visible one by one. Like a magic trick in reverse, humanity's true strength appeared from behind its stealth fields. First came the orbital rings, 3 massive circles of quantum-forged metal around Earth's equator and poles. What aliens had dismissed as simple space debris transformed into the largest defensive network ever built. Each ring bristled with weapon systems that made the Ganymede demonstration look like a firecracker. Begin Phase 2, Parker ordered through his quantum comm. Across the solar system, hidden installations revealed themselves. The dark side of the moon opened like a flower, showing vast shipyards and weapon factories. Mars's surface rippled as massive hangar doors appeared, revealing more of humanity's fleet. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, Dr. Miller watched the alien reactions through the quantum monitoring network. Their sensors are going crazy, he reported to Director Hayes. Every time they think they've seen everything, we reveal more. Hayes nodded, studying the tactical displays. Show them the Jupiter stations. Around Jupiter's smaller moons, human installations phased into view. Research centers, defense platforms, and energy collection systems that had been invisible for decades now stood proud against the gas giants' swirling clouds. The alien diplomatic channels exploded with activity. Some begged for peace talks, while others demanded explanations for how humanity had hidden so much for so long. They still don't understand, Miller said, reading the incoming messages. They think this is everything. Hayes smiled slightly. Then let's really surprise them. Activate the Titan base. Deep in the methane seas of Saturn's largest moon, humanity's greatest achievement began to rise. A facility larger than any city on Earth broke through Titan's surface. It was a shipyard that could build vessels larger than anything the aliens had ever seen, powered by technology they couldn't understand. Send the technical package, Hayes ordered. Across all channels, Earth broadcast details of its quantum shielding technology. The aliens learned how their every move had been watched, how their secure communications had been monitored, how humanity had stayed 3 steps ahead for decades. In his flagship near Europa, Admiral Parker received new orders from the Council. Show them the antimatter fleet. From behind Saturn's rings, a new group of ships appeared. They were different from the rest of Earth's fleet. Sleeker, darker, more advanced. These ships weren't powered by regular engines or even quantum cores. They used controlled antimatter reactions, technology the aliens had thought impossible to stabilize. Their scientists are in complete shock, Miller reported, watching the alien communications. The Centauri Alliance's lead researcher just resigned in protest, saying their entire understanding of physics must be wrong. Hayes walked to the main communication console. It was time for the final revelation. Send the last message, she ordered. The message went out in all alien languages. What you have seen today is our defensive capability. We built all of this while pretending to be primitive, while you thought you were watching us stumble into space. Consider carefully what we might build now that we no longer need to hide. The alien responses came quickly. The Rigel Federation offered immediate trade agreements. The Proxima Collective requested technical and scientific exchange programs. Even the Centauri Alliance, which had led the invasion plan, now sought peaceful relations. They're starting to understand, Miller said, looking at the latest translations. Not just our technology, but our strategy. We could have revealed ourselves any time in the last 50 years. We could have attacked them first. Hayes nodded. But we waited. We prepared. We let them think they were the hunters. She looked at the global display showing Earth's now visible defenses. And in doing so, we proved we're ready for the galaxy, not just technically, but morally. The day ended with humanity standing revealed as perhaps the most advanced civilization in known space. They had achieved what no other species had managed, building an advanced civilization while appearing primitive, preparing for war while choosing peace. The galaxy would never be the same. 1 year after humanity revealed its true power, the solar system had become the center of galactic diplomacy. The massive space station Unity, built in Earth's orbit using technology that was no longer hidden, hosted representatives from 30 different alien species. Dr. Miller walked through Unity's main diplomatic hall, now used to seeing blue-skinned Regelians and crystalline Proxima beings mixing with human diplomats. He smiled, remembering how just a year ago, these same species had planned to conquer Earth. The latest trade reports are in, he told Director Hayes, who stood watching Earth through the station's quantum glass windows. Our technology exchange programs have been more successful than we expected. Hayes nodded, turning away from the view of Earth's now visible defense rings. And the security situation? No threats detected, Miller replied. The quantum monitoring network hasn't picked up any hostile movements in 6 months. The Centauri Alliance even dismantled their long-range weapon platforms as a show of good faith. In the Luna Base Command Center, Admiral Parker reviewed reports from Earth's ships now openly patrolling the galaxy. The fleet that had once hidden beneath Europa's ice now helped maintain peace across dozens of star systems. Another request for joint military exercises, his aide reported. The Rigel Federation wants to train with our antimatter fleet. Parker chuckled. A year ago, they wanted to destroy us. Now they want to learn from us. He approved the request with a thumbprint. Arrange it, but keep our newest systems classified. We still need some surprises. Back on Unity Station, the main conference room hosted a meeting of the new Galactic Council. Earth held the leading position, not through force, but through respect earned by their patient strategy and peaceful intentions. The human approach has changed everything, the Regelian ambassador announced to the assembly. They could have conquered us when we were vulnerable. Instead, they chose to reveal their power through controlled demonstration and offer peace. The Proxima representative, their crystalline form shimmering, added, their strategy of appearing weak while building strength will be studied for generations. They have taught us that true power lies not in conquest, but in wisdom. In the Rocky Mountain Command Center, now a museum open to both human and alien visitors, Dr. Miller showed a group of alien scientists the old monitoring stations. This is where we first detected your communications, he explained. Your encryption seemed unbreakable to everyone else, but our quantum computers could read them easily. A young Centauri scientist raised her hand. Why didn't you attack us then? You knew our plans. Miller smiled. Because humanity had learned from its own history. We knew that showing strength through restraint was more powerful than showing it through violence. On Mars, the once hidden shipyards now worked openly, building vessels that combined technologies from a dozen worlds. Human engineers worked alongside alien specialists, creating ships more advanced than either could have built alone. Director Hayes toured the facility with a group of alien diplomats. This is how we always hoped things would end, she told them. Not with conquest or destruction, but with cooperation and shared progress. One of the diplomats, a senior member of the Centauri Alliance, spoke quietly. You have changed the way we think about power. Our histories taught us that advanced civilizations always conquer primitive ones. You proved that wisdom can overcome that pattern. In Earth orbit, Admiral Parker's flagship patrolled alongside ships from former enemy fleets. The combined force protected trade routes and responded to distress calls from any species that needed help. The galaxy's a different place now, he told his crew during their year-mark celebration. We showed them that strength doesn't have to mean fear, that power doesn't have to mean dominance. As the celebration ended, Dr. Miller stood with Director Hayes in Unity's observation dome, watching ships from a dozen worlds dock at the station. "Did you ever think it would turn out this way?" he asked. Hayes smiled, remembering the tense days of hiding, the careful planning, the patient waiting. "We hoped it would. We planned for war but prepared for peace." She gestured at the bustling station around them. "This was always the real victory we wanted, not defeating enemies, but making allies." The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humanity's warning had turned into humanity's welcome, and the stars were better for it.